They say I can close this. I know. Anyway, good morning. We will be doing block 20 is what we're doing today. It's a nice combination of half square triangles and flying geese. And it's really sort of like a square and a square. So we're going to make the center star. We're going to make the outer pieces. So I hope you all had a great week. And I'm going to tip you up, put you up on the box, and get going. There we go. Now I can see what you can see. I put my glasses on. All right, I thought I would show you, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but I'm going to use this ruler and I'm going to reattach the tape that I use when the Cluck Clucks, tape from Cluck Cluck So that Louise gave me. So I'm going to put my ruler down. I have a lot of stuff in my way this morning. Sorry about that. So I'm using the ruler. I slide it all the way back so that the edge of the ruler is against my feed dogs, and then I put a line directly underneath my needle. So that I drop the needle down just to make sure it's on the line. Now I'm going to take the tape. You can see there is a, good morning, Tara. You can see that there's a red line down the center and there are two navy lines on the side, either side, that are 1/4 inch away from that red line. That helps with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and also a few little tricks that I'll show you today. So I line that red line, I bring it, I'm not sure it's going to re-stick. We're going to see about that. I have more of it. But I'm lining that red line up right with that line on my ruler. It's a little tricky, a little hard concentration here. And I'm putting it straight down. And then I have a 0 on my machine. And I don't really care that it's off a little down there, because the truth is it only matters where the needle comes down on your fabric, not all the way down here. But we want to know, and we'll see how it goes today, how well it stays stuck down, because I just wanted to see if I could reuse it, so I stuck it over here. The other thing I'm going to show you today after we do the block, depending on how long it takes to make the block, is some tricks that I've figured out in making the masks that I'm making, and I'll tell you where to get the pattern for the mask and how I've changed it up a little bit. So I really shouldn't be changing up work that an engineer did, but anyway, I'm not changing up her pattern. I'm just changing up how it goes together. So here are the pieces that I cut. I fussy cut the center square for the little star that goes in the beginning, in the center. I'll show you the pattern again. And should actually, I did not, usually I flip the directions so I don't have to slide it out, but it's multiple pages, so we'll pull it out. And they start by making all the flying geese units, so we will do the same. The outside flying geese units are made with these big rectangles of the, what I'm using as background fabric. And the same goes for the little square too. The little square flying geese are going to actually make the points on the star, and the big ones just help establish the pattern or design in the outer portion. And I'm running out of the darker navy fabric, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do. I knew this day was coming. I just wasn't so prepared for it to, mentally, for it to happen. And I could spend some real money online. We'll just see how that goes. All right, so for the large flying geese, we need the 3.5 inch squares because it's 3.5 inch tall. So I'm just going to grab them right here, stack them up. And this is a directional fabric. It's kind of hard to see how a line goes on it. So I want to make sure it's all the same on all the flying geese. So I'm stacking them one on top of each other with the direction all going the same in hopes, that's that word, that they all come that way. Good morning, Michelle and Laura and Sharon. So good to see everybody today. And so I'm getting everything set up. Then the little ones, super easy because they're solid. And then I'm putting everything else out of the way because we don't need it right this moment. We'll start with the baby ones. Now this is where, I'll get the ruler out of the way. I'm not using it right now. Okay, so we set this up first thing. My stitch length is down to 2.0. I'm going to turn my iron on because it takes a while. And I think we're good to go. Good to sew. Stitch length 2.0. I think I said that. So now I'm going to use the red line. Instead of drawing a line on the back of the fabric to make the flying geese, we're living dangerously. We're going to use the red line on the tape. And that, it sort of speeds things up if you don't have to stop and draw the line, stop and draw the line. So dropping this down on here. So now the square is just sitting in the corner, like always. And you have to think, which is hard for me some days, which way it's flipping up. And this one's going to flip up this way. You could crease it if you wanted to. I don't bother. I just need to know that it's flipping up. And the reason you need to know, I say this every time, thread has thickness. It's folding over that thickness and you want it to land perfectly on the corner. So I now will drop my needle down. You can just do it with the foot. You can drop the foot down and do it. My machine pops it up so that it is just kissing that corner. And then I want the point of the square, the corner of the square, right here, to run down the side of the red line that's getting folded up, because that gives me that thickness of the thread right smack dab on the corner. If you run it down the center, you split the thread on either side and you take like a fraction, just a tiny fraction away from it. If you do it on the other side, you take way too much. So you have to just think about which way it's getting flipped up. That didn't sound good. I might have had a little nest form on the bottom there. I did just rethread my machine, so looks like I threaded it correctly. So now we're going to drop the next one on, and I just chain piece these right through, and it's helpful because then I'm thinking about the same side always. I should put my needle down on the oops, just like that. The hardest thing for me is starting it because it's slightly invisible there. You know, you have to see inside the foot. There, now my needle down's on. But just like last time, we'll check out how hard it is to see. I mean, when we flip it up, how close we came. You know, I still rip out some. I rip out some if I draw the line, so don't get mad at myself. I just go for it. My arm is all better, you guys. I mean, I have a scar, which I knew I would have from the surgery, but to take the mole and the melanoma off my body, but I got all clear margins. I am like good to go. And I was able with my workout to use both my arms today, and I actually was strong with it. So that made me feel really good. Feeling really good about that. Gotta have something to feel good about when the world is being so weird right now. All right, I've got all the little ones on there, and I'm just gonna clip a few of them apart. I could just run my I could just do that. and do all four each time. Do all four of them. All right, I heard my iron chime, so I'm gonna just go to my iron and sew it up. I mean, press it. Oh my gosh. I want you, I was just thinking about that over there. They all came out fine. I've been doing this for a long time, but you can see that noise that I heard. It sucked the thread up in the bottom there, but it's all stitched solidly, so I'm just gonna leave it. Sometimes I restitch it when it happens. But you can see that it matched the corner beautifully. So I'm just trimming. You can use your rotary cutter. I press first before. Some people trim them. They like way more confident than I am. But I like to know that it's correct before I trim this off. So I just take my scissors for the short one. The big one, 3.5, I'll use the rotary cutter. But for the short ones, I can just trim it off. And you want to trim it off before you stitch the next side down, because you don't want all of it tucked in there. Okay, so now we can put the other side on. And we're good to go. What I started to say is, before I was given this amazing gift of this tape, I used painter's tape, and I only have the fat painter's tape, but hold on. Painter's tape is this blue, I think you all know this blue tape. It comes in green. Oh, here's my, yeah, I use it as like a spool catcher. This is the width I use. You can use any width you want, but I put it down and I put one edge of the tape, I'll just leave that there, one edge of the tape right on the 0 line, and then I go on one side of the tape or the other with this red line. It's just so much easier. And then I'm finding all kinds of uses for those 1/4-inch lines that are on either side, like when I'm stitching half square triangles, which we have 2 of them. Well, we have 4 altogether that we make, but we have 2 squares that we have to sew later on in this pattern, so you'll see it. Okay, so now we're going the other way. You got to make sure we're stitching up from here. This side's flipping up if I go in from the point over here, which I will, because that's the way I oriented it. I could do it the other way. So I want this corner to kiss the outside of just that outside part of the red tape. So I get this in right where I want it. And I'm just sinking it right down there, lining the tape up and going for it. There we go. There's one down. Well, we'll see when we press it. So you don't have to own the Cluck Cluck Sew tape. You can use the painter's tape. And I was just thinking, you know, could draw a 1/4-inch line on the painter's tape and stick it right down the middle. This has been accurately milled, I think, because it seems to work really well. I mean, the red definitely works. It's just a straight line, but the 1/4-inch away seems to be really working. You do have to pay attention and not let your mind wander at the end there. I'm working on my shoulders back posture and pivoting from my hips just to keep. I don't want to end up being the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Everybody seems to have better posture than me. I think when I was younger, I sort of had bad posture it was my way of being defiant against my dad. Not at the dinner table. There was no escape from there, but everywhere else there was escape from. I think that one might be a little bit off. We'll see. See, this is what happens when I'm gabbing. I have to say, when I watch myself back, I'm kind of glad that only part of me is showing in the film. Jessica's coming over today to film the rest of me making the booze. I took it up to Bits and Pieces. She's going to put it up. I'll let you know when the class is going to happen. But they have switched out. I don't know if you've been up to Bits and Pieces, but if you have, you'll understand what I'm saying. When you pull up to the mall, they have this one area where it's crammed. I mean, they just literally cram everything. And then there's a house that if you're facing the store and you look to the left, there's a building that looks like a house. It's separate from everything. And Nick, they stored all the machines in there, and Nick did his repairs there when machines came up to Bits and Pieces. Well, there's a, I'm going to, I guess you can't hear me when I press, so I'll tell you when I come back. Hold the phone. Yeah. Okay. 2 of them came out perfectly. Must not have been talking when I was doing these. So I'm just going to trim these. One. I'm going to show you how I know the other ones are off. And then I'm going to take a second and rip them out, I think. We'll decide. Yep, you can see, can you see the back of the square? It's kind of the same color, but you can see that when I flip it over, it doesn't fill that whole space. And it's too far. I could just clip out the background and then, you know, line it up with leaving this white showing, but it's too far. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. It just would be, it would eventually pull out on the quilt. So I'm going to, oh, good, here's my seam ripper. I'm just going to take this one out for sure, and then I'll show you the other one. And I must have just like had a lapse of judgment and stitched up the other side. That's about how far it gets off if you have the thread on the wrong, if you stitch up the wrong side. So I'm gonna, I think I did both of them that way. Taking all the threads out because it will stitch over. I mean, you won't see it, even the holes in this. The nice thing about the holes in the okay, so this one you can actually see the white. It pulled, somehow it pulled the whole square. I really must not have been paying attention. So that's the way it goes. Can't tell the story about Bits and Pieces and do this whole thing. So I'm going to rip this one out too. So anyway, they swapped the house with I had never even knew it was there. I don't even pay attention to what else is in the mall. But in the, what's the floor shop of in the mall, there's a floor shop, and it's got an upstairs and a basement, and they're going to move all the long arms over there and their classroom over there. So, I mean, you still have to, and they're going to have some notions in there. So now I'm going to reline this up, and now I know I need to stitch a little farther over. I'm going to just stop talking. Okay, here we go. I don't know, it looks pretty much like I went the same place, but that might not be good. All right. I'm wrong at the beginning on this one. I overthought it. I went, I must be wrong. So I'm just going to check this one before I take it over to the iron, because I think I just did the same thing. I just went to the same place. So anyway, while I'm ripping out, I can tell you again. Let's see how many times I can rip this out this morning. I I could stitch it again, but anyway, they're going to set up on the first floor where the florist actually is totally using the space now. They're going to have all right, now I'm going on the other side, their classroom, which is so cool. I forgot to turn my watch on when I exercised this morning, and it's telling me I'm way behind in my exercise, but it's not true. All right, this is good now. I'm going to just press these. Both of these will be fine. So anyway, so that we can be socially distant. So nothing's happening until September. So I think it'll be fun. Okay, I lied. I have to fix the first part of this one, where I said I was off in the beginning, but this one's okay. So, with this one, you can see the beginning's okay, the top corner matches, because I was like way on the other side. I don't have to take the whole part out just till it matches up in the middle here. But I'll stitch the whole thing, because then it ends correctly. I need to make sure it's all pulled up. Okay. I want the thread to pop through. See? I swear I'll be quiet on the next one. No, I just like talking. It's a good day. All right. Now I can just stitch in the seam allowance up here. All right, I'm just going to start down the big ones, okay? Right down the big ones. And now I want to show you, I'm going to put the big ones so that when I flip it down, they pierce this way on them. I was just thinking about how, yeah, I think I'm going to do that so that they're half and split. Or I could do it so it's a straight line. Tickle my throat. I could do it so they all line up this way. Or I could do it this way. I think I'm going to do it so it pierces them all. All right. I hope this is a good choice. Sort of thinking it through in my head. So now I'm going to stitch this through. I cannot see the bottom of this. So on the tape, it's not long enough. So I have to guess or draw lines. So you know what? I think I'm going to draw lines. I have my, maybe, I have no, okay. I think the pink will show up. So I'm going to draw lines really quickly from corner to corner, just so I can get started, and then I can switch onto the tape. So, and this way, this is Fons and Porter's pen. I have both of them. This one is Sew Line. They're the same. Chalk seems to be the same. I don't know if anybody has an experience that's different, please write it in the comments so that people know, like, we can learn from it, how it's different. But sorry I didn't draw these lines earlier. Anyway, the classroom up there is going to be big, so that, like, we crammed in, the most we could have when we were all close together comfortably was 4 people and the instructor, truthfully. I did 6. I've done 8 up there, and it's like your bodies are packed in. So she's paying for an instructor, and the most she could have is 8 people. So she's used to having the smaller numbers. So when she starts back, until the pandemic and the virus is under control, she will only have 6 students. That's what I told her. I'm not going to be comfortable unless I can be 6 feet away and I can demonstrate. And so she's fine with that. And but I think it's easier. I think it's better if we're in person, because you can directly ask me a question instead of waiting for it to come up in the chat, and then by the time I notice and answer your question, I've moved on and maybe don't have that question anymore. So I just think it's going to be better, but it's going to be a great space. There's a kitchen in there that can be used, and then there's a bathroom, which is important. And there'll be Notion, so if you forget something, you can do it, or if you need fabric, you can run down. It's like 3 storefronts down. It's not very far. So anyway, all right, so now I'm just starting the seam over the edge of the corner, and I'm stitching. I'm using the line as the guide until I see the tape, and then I'm not paying attention to the line anymore. I'm just letting it glide right along the edge of that tape, because maybe I didn't draw the line so perfect. So putting it on there, and we just have 4 of these. Pretty soon I'm going to have to turn my fan on. The iron really makes it hot in here, and there's no air movement on a day like today, and the heat's starting to rise. I have my shades down so that I can keep they're insulated shades. So I have to turn the lights on. They don't get hot. They're LEDs, is that what that's called? They're not hot lights. They don't get hot. But and believe me, I love this heat in this winter because this room is so cold. So I am not complaining that I'm hot. I just have to come up with a solution for it not to feel hot to me. And I did. I have a fan that I blow the cool air from the rest of the house in here. Okay. Why do I only have 3 here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there must be another triangle up there. There's in here I must have. Maybe I didn't cut 8. 1. Oh, no, it's right here. 2. All right. I'll draw one more line. Oh, wait. I think it's very important as a teacher not to be afraid to make mistakes, because, you know, we all make mistakes all the time. And just because I've done it over and over again, the likelihood of my outcome being good, because I've done it before, if it's new to you, it's different. But it's, even though you know what you're doing and you've done it a ton, it's still, you still make mistakes, and you have to be able to learn from them and find solutions for them. So so I'm just hatching this idea, because I'm running low on fabric, and I'm going to probably have to order fabric, and we're going to catch up on the blocks. Okay, 3rd time's the charm for that little one. Let's see how we do with these navy ones. Okay, grab the extra square. It's really into that extra square. All right, so this one I can just use the scissors and trim it off. I was going to cry if I had to do that one again. Now, these I'm going to use my rotary cutter. You could stack them actually like this, because they're all the same corner, but once I've pressed them, it's hard to line it up, and I really want as accurate a 1/4 inch. It's a long seam, relatively speaking. And so there's only 4 of them, 4 little flying geese. Helps. That's why you start off the fabric. 1 more, and we'll sew them on. Then we'll make the half square triangles. Then we'll have all our pieces made, and we'll sew. Again, it's hard. I don't tend to start all the way back because I'm working in this space that I'm working in. So, okay, there we go. Now I'm going to sew the other one on. Anyway, the idea was, I just am hatching this idea, so you can tell me if it's crazy. And oh, Louise, good morning. Thought I saw another line down on there. So my idea was that once we catch up, I'll do like a mini lesson on I want to make a log cabin where it's skinny on one side, wider on the other, and I've never done it before. So I thought, what a better way to learn it than with you guys. So I have a ruler that I bought that has all the cutting instructions on it, and I will share that information with you. And you don't need the ruler because all you need to do is cut the strips the correct width. And Sharon has the AccuCutter, so if you have the AccuCut, you know, the Go Cutter or the AccuQuilt cutter, and you can cut strips, that's a perfect use for those strips to do it as a log cabin quilt. And we could do a little mini log cabin with our scraps, like a little scrappy one. And thought something went weird there. So as we get closer and I look into it, I'll let you know. If you have something else that you would like to learn, like to see done, I can do that too. I know Mrs. Claus is coming out, so maybe we'll do that on here. Kind of hoping I can do it as a class at the church. Okay, where's my little tab? Let's see how this goes. I think this one's going to be all right. There was one that I felt a little off on because I was totally, yeah, it's a little swervy. So let's just see how this one, you can really see it on the dark. Yeah, I have to fix the one I thought. Okay, 3 are perfect. That's what I get for talking about the log cabin. I'll trim these 3. They'll be ready. 1. I like this creative grid ruler because it has the 1/4 inch on the edge delineated with this white dashed line. And on most fabrics, it's super easy to see. So you can see, look how I dipped. Let's see if you can see it, how I dipped down there. I don't know what I was thinking then. I thought it would be okay, you know, like that's like just crazy. So I'm just taking the thread. I'm just gonna rip this baby out. I'm gonna rip the whole thing out. I stitched pretty much on the line. Let's see if the line, no, the line is, well, the dotted line will be there. The chalk line sometimes comes out when you rip out, which is good because you know that it's not staying in your fabric the whole time. But now on this side, I can just pull it off. Look, it just pulls right up. There's the thread. Okay, get all the little pieces off. It's seated in the right spot, so. All right, here we go. Now we want to start right on the correct side. And focus. There we go. Nice straight line this time. I'm actually, well, let's say I'm actually going to trim it first, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to press it. Okay, this time I can see a hair of the white. Can you see that? That looks more than a hair, but that's because of the angle. But I'm not going to worry about that. You could just trim out the one piece from behind, but it's close enough and the corner hits pretty well, so I am going to take a risk. And then at the end of this, when my block doesn't work out, you guys can remind me that I said that. All right, I have my 4 flying geese. Now, I drew my lines. So I'm thinking about this. I'm going to actually put this out so we can see which way we want the lines to go. These end up in the corner. I'll just show you. So these go around like this. Okay, and then this sits in the corner here like this. And we want these to go this way. Okay, so we want all the angles to be the same. So we're gonna run the line the same way we did on the flying geese, the directional fabric. It's important to check that out because if I'd sewn them, cut them, trimmed them beautifully, and then I wanted them to go the other way, I would be staring at that block ad nauseum, and I would be sad. Okay, so now this is where it's really cool. I'm going to show you because there's 2 blocks, and I don't know how well you can see the tape. Probably not well at all. Someday I'll have a system where the camera can zoom in. But I'm starting the first one using a 1/4 inch away. You can't really see that tape on there. But then when I get up, I run the corner right along the edge of the tape. Now on this one, I could, if it was big enough, I could bring this down, or I put the tape farther down. I could run the edge on right and start with that corner hitting there. And I could just run it down the other side, but it's too big, so I can't do that. So I'm just gonna keep just using my 1/4 inch foot and then the edge of the tape. And we'll cut this one off because we have to stitch both sides. My little tail. Now we're coming down the other side. Today I'm going to show you how to trim both with, I'm going to do without the tucker trimmer. I'm just going to show you, since we've been doing the tucker trimmer a lot, and I know a lot of you don't have it. I love it, but you have to know how to trim these. That wouldn't be fair of me. So I'm going to just trim them the other way. So these you can stack. I'm going to stack one on top of the other. Take my ruler, cut on the line that I drew. And now I need to press them first. I also need to change my blade because, as you all know, I trim multiple quilts a week and it does dull the blade. These are not lining up with anything, so I'm pressing them all to the dark. There's only 4. I know that. All right. So you may decide that I have to move this out of the way so I have a little more room. You may decide that you like doing it this way better anyway, but you just have to try a bunch of different things. So I can, when I'm doing this and I have all my space, and I'm doing it this way, which is rarely because I use a tucker trimmer. So I do this with the tucker trimmer too. I line them all up. So I go boom, 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 do all the cuts. But I'm going to do 2 of them. I'm not sure. Move my chair out of the way so I can stand front better. I'm putting this line that runs, right, cuts the ruler in half on the diagonal, on the 45. So you can see how this would look like a half square triangle if you colored in one on the side and that side. I'm running that right along the seam, and I know that this has to be 3.5 inches because that's how high I cut the flying geese, right? It was 3.5. Well, you don't know, but it was 3.5 by 6.5. You would know if you had the pattern in front of you. So I'm putting it on there, and I'm cutting up one side and across the other side, and then I'm going to rotate it. I was going to do 2, but you can't really see it. You rotate it and put the 3.5 in the corner. Make sure that line still runs up along the seam on the top, on the side. There we go. There's 1 half square triangle. 3 to go. You can put it sort of at an angle if it's easier for you to cut. I just sort of throw it on there and try and cut with whatever direction it lands. And then sometimes I'm sad that I chose that angle. Okay. Cuts the dog ears off, so that's why some people like it. But I would, after doing that 1 cut, I had to press, so I already pressed, right? I have to press anyway. I don't, would be done with the tucker trimmer, other than clipping the dog ears off, which have to come off anyway. And they don't always have to come off, truthfully. So it's faster for me to snip them off. So some people like this way because then they have the dog ears off. You have to make sure that you have your 3.5 underneath there. If you don't, you could cavalierly make the first cut and your block would be too small. So there's not a lot of extra. You can see that I'm trimming very little off. Okay, you know, if you could sew, some people can do it. I'm not one of them. You can sew a perfect seam. Then you can probably just trim the dog ears off, press it, and it's right. But I prefer to know that it's an accurate block. And so by trimming it, then I know. Okay, so I fussy cut the center. So the first thing we're going to do is make the star in the center because it actually becomes the center of the whole block. And you can see on the directions, that's what she does too. And then she puts the other pieces around. This block is on who's Lisa Bongean, Bongean. She created block 20. So here we go. I'm just putting, it's like making a 9 patch, but you can see how the flying geese make the star. So I'm putting it right here and right there. There we go. So I'm going to flip over, over, over like that. And I'm going to chain them. I got to put my chair back. That's so funny. Chain them right down. Chain piecing is just more efficient. You use less thread. Now, most people say, like here, I want to make sure that these corners super line up. So I'm going to actually put a little pin here because it seems to be wonking itself a little bit. All right. You know that flying geese, the 1/4 inch seems like way down. Seemed way down on there. Yeah, it is a little bit. I think it just is too low there. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm going to re-sew this one right away. Not everywhere, just in the center there. Oh, I was going to tell you. I don't know. I tried to find out what they were filming, but I learned last week when we heard the helicopters going overhead, and I did have my shades up last week, that it was a police helicopter. So I was alarmed because it was a police helicopter, and I thought last time that happened, it was a guy that got on the bus at Salem State, which I know they're not running now anyway. There we go. Brought that up to the center. I guess I will put a pin in. Who got on the bus with a gun. So that wasn't very good. All right, we'll see how this goes. And the police were looking for him and blah, 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 and they found him, and he had mental health issues. And it was all handled and fine. And, but this time I Googled it, and there is a film crew, a German film crew that wanted to create a TV series here, film it in Marblehead. So they were checking. They were, hold on. Still looks wide, but that's okay. They were filming, filming the area to see if it would work, if there wasn't the right landscape or whatever. So first they were down by Devereaux Beach and Riverhead Beach, which we would not have heard here. And then they were up by Stramski and over our house. So who knows whether it's going to actually happen or not, and what it's going to be. But that's what it was. So it was a good thing. Or not a bad thing anyway. All right, let's see how this one goes. think we'll just pin the middle this time. Clearly it didn't work for me very well last time, not pinning the middle. And now we just have to put our rows together here. Okay. All right, now we'll put the, we're going to nest these seams right here by pressing them toward the corners and the center ones towards the center. It's allowing it to nest. And then I will pin this center here. And I will just pin both at the same time, because that will, I think, speed me up ultimately. Wow, you're getting rain in Beverly. You know, like Donna Stoller talked to me yesterday, and she was gonna bring a quilt over to me yesterday, and she called and said it's pouring rain here. We had gorgeous sun, but it may be getting darker here. I can't tell. I have all my lights on. Going here. Guess this way is better. I just hope it's not raining tonight. We want to go have dinner on the boat. We have Caitlin home for a short time, and we want to try and give her as much time on the water as possible. So okay, we have our center star here. We'll get the seams pressed. Okay, there's our center. Now the good news about this is, like, I can show you. I turned the whales right side up now. They're not swimming on their heads, though they probably do that sometimes. We're just remaking exactly what we made, the flying geese on the sides, except this time the center, let's do it the right way. The center goes in. You could do it the other way, but this is the way the block is designed. So this gets framed and it looks like we put it on point. And then these go in the corner. And you can see how if I slid this in, it would make a whole different design, which would be kind of fun too, actually. And all the stripes would be going the right direction. So, but we're going to make it the way the block was designed. And there we go. You know what, Michelle? I hear thunder here. If we lose power, I'm sorry, everybody. I don't think we will. We're pretty solid here. I don't feel the wind. Usually in my space, I feel the wind if it's really windy. Okay. So here we go. And here's the other one. I'll just shorten this baby up a little. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I didn't have to do that. Let's put that over there. It doesn't look too dark out there, but I wonder if she says which way she presses them. Out, out, in. Yep, this, I was going to say I'm going to press this the reverse of what I did on the inside, and that's exactly what she does too. Now I need to run this through. Okay. All right, press these. Okay. Try to put them back the right way. Now flip this on. All right. We'll have our rows done. Let's just see how our points come out. And maybe it's going to cool everything off. That would be nice. Okay. Let's pin our two rows together. So want to put it the other way. So wild. All right. These nestle just like the other ones do. It really is the same as a 9-patch. Just looks fancier because we put different shapes in there instead of just squares. So it's really just as easy as a 9-patch. Once you, I was thinking it was raining, but I don't think it is. The 9-patch. Okay, here we go. So our 2 seams. Now we're hoping that the corners make a nice crisp corner. We'll see how it goes. See how we do. Just stitching my regular 1/4 of an inch seam, so it should work. But sometimes things happen. All right, now we just do the other seam. Okay, let's see how we did. I'm going to take it to the iron. I will bring it back as quick as I can. Got a little thread here, so I'm just going to clip it. But it came out beautiful, I think, if I do say so myself. Just one little, this corner right here isn't perfect, but from a distance, I think it looks good. Let me make it straight. All right, putting it up on the wall. I'll turn you around. You see, we need more 6.5-inch squares now, but that one just, that would have been wicked hard, 6.5 inches. I'm saving these big pieces because we just might need them. So these are going in the trash, but I'm not going to slip that back in there. Save time. And let me just move this out of the way. I want to show you the mask. Okay, so I'm chain piecing them. This is like my stack right here. I had a woman who wants 20 of them. So I think I told you that last week. So this is orange dot. This is the pattern piece itself. And I went, that's crazy. Why? I traced it the first time. I was like, oh, that was insane. And I realized I could just use a rectangle. So she cuts it 10 by 16.5. But I have shortened it a little bit because Jessica said I'm going to tip you down so you can see me. Jessica said that it was too tight under her chin a little bit and she wears it all day long. So this is how it looks done. It makes a, I put a metal piece in here. I'm not going to bend this because I'm going to wash this, don't worry, but it's going to go on somebody else's nose. So it's such a beautiful, simple thing to do. And I figured out some tricks. You cut that long rectangle, so it's one piece of fabric. Then I took, okay, I threw it all up here so it would be out of the way. This is the, I don't know why it did the thing. This is the pattern itself. It's free. You only need to download it so that you get this template. Okay? Oh, it's over here. Good. So from 1/4, if it's not directional, you can get 2 masks. As you can see, I have 2 of each type. And I'm using the batik fabric. It's tighter. She puts batting in it. I put interfacing in it. I have both. But I think that interfacing makes it cooler. I don't know which makes it better for droplets. But I think of the interfacing because it's not woven. It's, you know, polyester. I have no idea. But this woman, I learned through her video, is an engineer, and she designed this. So what I did was I took the card that I've been using for my paper piecing, and you can see the lines drawn on it. So you start with the whole piece that's long. You fold it in half. I cut a 10 by 8 rectangle, slightly smaller than 10 by 8 rectangle of the interfacing, okay? And I fuse it onto one side. Then I fold it in half and press it so that it makes a square, okay? Then I lift it up on the fold and I sew in. The next thing I do is I top stitch along the long seam of the fold. It just looks neater. You don't have to do it. The very first one I did, I didn't do it. You don't have to do it. I just think it looks neater. I'm selling these. Well, not selling them. I'm donating. I'm giving them to her. She's donating to charity. That's what it's set up. So I sew in the little bar. I bought these. I'll show them to you for. I got 100 of them for $10 shipped, less than $10. They're little aluminum. They have sticky on them. So you peel the sticky off, stick it down, and then you know they're going to be washed. That sticky's going to disappear. I then stitch it in. So that's the next thing I do. I stitch it in there. Just stitch a little box around it. I just put a pin on either side of where it ends. Zip, zip, zip around. Didn't take very much time. You ask why I drew these lines. The next thing I do is I put this to my iron and I fold it down. This first fold is 2.5 inches. So I drew that line 2.5 inches down. I took it to my iron. I pressed over the cardboard till it came down to that line. I steamed the heck out of it. And then you run a row of stitching right along there. The chin one doesn't get an additional line of stitching, but you need to know where that fold is in order to make the mask turn into this shape. So it was additionally folded up 2.5 inches, but I've shortened it, and I thought maybe I could make it shorter yet again to make it so it wasn't too tight against the neck for Jess. And I'm assuming others would like that too. So I'm just doing them all that way. So I drew another line that's 2 inches away, and I put the cardboard on, well, that's one I made shorter, even shorter. I put the cardboard under, roughly folded it down there. I shortened it up a little because I was testing it on myself. But it doesn't matter, I made that fold. Now, this is the only reason that you need the pattern. Number one, I cut this little section out where the nose thing goes and it drops it right in. I know I have it in the center. These corner pieces are angled differently. I don't know why. She's an engineer. I'm not arguing with her. So you have to clip the 4 corners. See how I've clipped these 4 corners? You have to do that. Because then you just take it and you fold it on the first fold, which it does automatically because you press the heck out of it. I don't remember which she does first, the bottom or the top. And then you fold back. You just butterfly fold it. You bring it back so that this line comes right up to the top. And that's what makes that awkward looking pleat. And then you come back and you do it on the top. And then I just put the these wonder clips on, boom, like this. I stitch really close to the edge, right along the edge of it, and just to hold it. That's all I'm doing is holding it. And then I bind the edge because with the binding, it makes a casing that you can just slide the elastic in. She attaches the elastic. I don't want a fixed loop. I don't know. Every face is different. hello, I want them to be able to tie the elastic to the size that they want. So I don't have a done one in here, but I just stitch it on, flip it around, stitch the other side. And then thanks to Sharon, yay Sharon, I have this beautiful bodkin, and I thread my elastic in, thread them all up at one time. It's like a miracle. It goes really fast. So it's that simple. These masks are that simple to make. And they have, when you wear them, it has this extra pocket here. It's not right up on your face, but it seals your face. It seems to be the right width here. So anyway, Jess loved it because it was lightweight on her face and it sealed her face, and she has to wear it all day at work. So and Peter liked it because of his glasses and the whole thing. So I've abandoned making them the other way. I'm making them this way until something else better comes along, which it may. But that's what I'm doing this afternoon, finishing all those masks and running my machine, well, now I won't run my machine till the thunder's over. But so I hope, I'm going to show you the wall, that you've had a great morning with me. Here, there's the block on the wall, right there. I think it looks good. Ship's right side up. And if I tip this a little bit more, I don't know if you can tell from that distance, but the fish are right side up. I did fix it. It was important to me. Yes, I know I finished all the signal flags, but I haven't put them together. I have to spend time and get that done. But masks are way more important than that. So anyway, everybody, thanks for spending the morning with me. Next week we will be doing, I'll grab it and show you. We'll either do 1 or 2 blocks, but we're gonna do the 6.5. We're gonna do this, definitely the 6.5. That's the next one. It's 21. The 22 is just 9 patches. Boop, 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 boop. Super simple. So we may just sew both of those. I'm gonna make them both 6.5 inches. We need more 6.5 inch blocks. So this one will be cute because it'll be super tiny squares. So we'll see. 6-inch block. The squares are 1.25 inches. That's kind of tiny. They're 2 inches. I don't know. We'll see. You'll have to stay tuned. All right. Have a great week, everybody. And I will see you next week for more Moda Blockheads and some blocks. And I'm sure I'll have some great new trivia for you. I'll let you know how the mask went. I have a tickle in my throat. All right. Take care. Bye now.